Hey guys, here's some pictures about streams. I wanted to get this out the other night and it just got real late on me and put it off for a little bit. But anyway, let's take a look at some pictures of streams. And here we obviously have a stream. We have water flowing downhill, of course. We can tell by the picture the water is moving pretty quickly. And again, fast moving water can hold larger sediments. We could see some of these large rocks. Maybe not when this picture was taken, but perhaps in the springtime when the water was flowing with more volume and at an even greater speed, it would be capable of moving even large rocks, boulders, and large stones. So this is a stream in the mountains, high slope. Again, slope affects the velocity of the water. The steeper the slope, the faster the water's going to be moving. So here we have a mountain stream. These are usually younger rivers. They haven't been around as long. Fast-moving water have the ability to move large particles, cobbles, even boulders. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they move a huge amount of sediment. This is a relatively small stream or river. And actually a little side note about that too. We talk about streams and rivers and creeks. They're all the same. There's no technical difference between a stream and a river or a creek. We usually think of streams and creeks as being kind of small and rivers as being big, but there's no scientific definition of when a stream becomes a river or anything like that. Anyway, fast-moving water has the ability to move some of these large rocks, maybe not when the picture was taken, but in the springtime perhaps when snow is melting and so on, higher velocity. Here we have a much larger river. Here we have the Mississippi. Low velocity. But even though it's a low velocity, it moves way more sediment than the other stream we were just looking at. Big river, large volume, huge volume. And even though the velocity is low, it's moving tremendous amounts of sediment. But because the velocity is low, those sediments are going to be fine. So a river like the Mississippi will move tremendous amounts of clay, silt, and even sand, but probably not much more than that. It probably can't even really move pebbles most of the time. But it moves tons and tons and tons of sediment. It's in the form of light particles, light sediments, silts, sands, clays. So even though the water velocity is low, the discharge, the volume is really high, and it can move tremendous amounts of material. And even though a stream like the one we just looked at might be able to move larger objects, the overall mass of material being moved is certainly going to be greater in a river like this. The particles are finer, but it has the ability to move hundreds of tons of sediment. They're just fine, sand, silts, and clay. We talked about in one of the other videos about the formation of an oxbow lake, and we also talked about meanders and erosion and deposition. And here's a diagram trying to show that. So we have the river flowing this way, and each one of these bends is referred to as a meander. And we talked about this concept of the outside of the bend or outside of the curve. That's where erosion takes place. The water comes around that bend and carves out the outside of the curve and causes erosion. On the inside of the curve, we have deposition. The water velocity is low. The water isn't rushing around this corner, so we have deposition. The water velocity decreases. Since the water velocity decreases, we lose our ability to hold sediment. Sediment starts depositing out, and we have sand, silts, and clays getting deposited. So on every meander or every bend of a stream, we have one side being heavily eroded, and then we have one side that is heavily deposited. And we have deposition on one side, erosion on the other. And if the two eroded sides, here we would have erosion, here we would have erosion, eventually they're going to cut into each other and cut off a loop of the river, and we call that an oxbow lake. Here are some actual pictures. So here we have some steep meanders or steep curves, meanders. I actually probably shouldn't have used the word steep because these rivers, when we have these really, really extreme meanders like this, these happen in flat areas. we can see the farm fields here. So we see these really big meanders in flat locations, fields and prairies, low-lying areas. And we can see erosion and deposition from this aerial photograph. This picture was probably taken from an airplane. And over here, this is where we have erosion. This white stuff here is the sand being deposited on the opposite side. So this would be the area where we have deposition, and then the other side is the area where we have erosion. So we have the outside of the curve over here. This is where erosion is taking place. We have the inside of the curve here. This is where deposition is taking place. And then the water continues. Then we have all the water rushing down. We have erosion taking place over here. And then on the opposite side of the river, we have deposition taking place over here. And this is a pattern that we see on every river and every stream. And here's an illustration showing the formation of an oxbow lake. So we have these really, really severe meanders, sharp curves, and eventually we have the eroded side over here and the eroded side over here. They're eroding and cutting. Some people call these cut banks. They're eroding and eroding toward each other, and eventually the meander gets cut off from the main channel of the river. We have some deposition take place, and it gets completely separated from the main channel of the river. We call this an oxbow lake. Last year, you probably learned about ecological succession and how one landform slowly changes into another. And over time, this lake is going to start to fill in with sediments. We're going to start getting plants growing. Eventually, it turns into a swamp. And then eventually, it'll start filling into forest. But it'll leave this kind of scar on the land where we can see this circular pattern from above, especially from airplanes or satellites. We can see these kind of curved shapes. But these are called oxbow lakes when they're filled with water. And then they start eventually filling in ecological succession. And then, they eventually fade away. And again, here's another diagram showing the same thing. We have meanders. We have erosion, deposition. The meanders become more severe. Rivers are always changing and evolving with time. Here, the meander is becoming so severe, these two sides are going to erode into each other, and this loop is going to get separated or cut off from the main channel of the river and form an oxbow lake like we see down here. And here's another photograph. We can see a variety of things. And one of the things that I like about this picture too is we can see shadows of the clouds there. So those are shadows from cumulus clouds. But anyway, here we have our river, and we can see the strong meanders, the severe meanders. Here's where we would have erosion. Here's the inside of the bend. Here's where we would have deposition. Water flows around. Here's an oxbow lake forming. We come around. Here's another area of erosion. And eventually, these two sides erode into each other, and eventually the water, water being water, is going to take the path of least resistance and cut this little section out, and the water is going to flow and bypass this large loop here. And then eventually this is going to form an oxbow lake. Here we can see an oxbow lake over here, an older one. So this body of water used to be the main channel of the river, and the water used to flow into this oxbow and out of the oxbow, and it was part of the river. But now we can see it's been completely separated. It's been completely cut off from the main channel of the river, and it's kind of swampy in there. Eventually plants will grow and it will become forest. And if we look carefully, we could even see some really old oxbows and scars from where oxbows used to be and where the river channel once was. So we see these steep meanders in places where it's flat. We wouldn't have these severe meanders in the mountains. Here's another one. Again, some shadows of clouds over here. We have the water flowing, erosion on one side, deposition on the other. Eventually, these two sides are going to erode, cut off that loop, and we'll have an oxbow lake like we have over here. Okay, so here's another oxbow lake over here. There are these horseshoe-shaped lakes. And again, you can see how flat that land is. We have these oxbow lakes in flat areas. We don't usually find oxbows in mountains because, well, with the steeper land, the water is going to flow in a straighter path. So we're not going to have these severe meanders in mountains. This is something we find in flat areas. Here's another picture. We can see these farm fields, and we can see, indicating it's very flat, we can see these oxbow lakes here. There's one there, there's one there. Looks like there were some old ones over here, up here. These are scars now. They've filled in. We've had ecological succession take place. Vegetation is growing over them. And we can see where new ones would form. We would probably get one eventually forming here. This would get cut off, form an oxbow lake at some point. These meanders are going to become more severe. We're probably going to get an oxbow lake over here someday as these two sides erode toward each other. Here's another picture, right? So here we have water coming down through the channel. Here we could see the remnants of an old oxbow lake over here. Here we have an oxbow lake forming. This part is still connected to the main channel of the river. Maybe some water flows into that, but it can't get out. And eventually we're going to have deposition here, and it's going to be completely cut off and separated from the main channel of the river. We have erosion happening here. This is the outside of this curve. We have erosion happening here. This is the outside of this curve. These two curves are going to erode toward each other and eventually cut a straight path going through, and we'll have another oxbow lake here with time. This was probably part of an oxbow lake over here. So this is a common landscape feature that we see in low-lying flat areas where we have rivers. There are other types of river patterns too. Here we have what's called a braided stream or a braided river. These happen in very flat areas too. And here, instead of one main channel to the river, we have many channels to the river. And we have this interconnected pathway of water called a braided stream. This happens in flat areas. Here's a picture of a braided stream. This is in the mountains, but we can see that the area where the braided stream is very flat. And the water just takes many different paths. And this happens in very, very flat locations. And again, we have mountains back here, but the valley is very, very flat. And when the snow melts, the water drains out and takes many different pathways. We call that a braided stream. Here's a picture of a structure we talked about in one of the other lecture videos. We have an arid climate. This is a feature very common in arid climates, desert environments. And it, again, doesn't rain very often in the desert, of course, but it does sometimes. And when it rains, there's a tremendous amount of erosion taking place because we don't have vegetation. We don't have plants, we don't have trees and grass with roots holding the soil in place. And even though it doesn't rain often, when it does, tremendous amounts of sediment move down the valleys and spill out into the valley floors. These are structures, if you remember from one of the other videos, called an alluvial fan. The drawing in the class notes is honestly not very good, but I think the picture hopefully helps. So we have mountains back here. When it does rain, all of the sediment just comes pouring down, spills out into the valley below. This is a feature we would never see in New York. It's just too humid of a climate. We have too much vegetation. We have too much plant material holding the soil in place. But this is a very common feature that you would see out in Nevada, California, or parts of California anyway. Nevada, Arizona, places like that. And we can even see this line here. This is a road that's been built around that alluvial fan. And here's another alluvial fan. The sediment just comes pouring out of the mountains when it does rain. Again, there's no vegetation holding that soil in place. It spills out into the valley and makes this kind of fan-like structure. Here's another alluvial fan. Maybe this picture helps a little bit more. So it rains, or it could be due to snow melting too. Many of the desert environments are very cold in the wintertime, and the snow melts in the springtime, comes down, or it could be due to rain, but it comes down, moves all the sediment into this fan-like structure. And here's a picture that we'll stop at. Here we have a river delta, and in one of the other videos, we talked about deltas a little bit. We have a stream carrying sediment. This is an aerial photograph or a satellite image. The stream is carrying sediment. We can see the water looks kind of muddy. It's carrying large amounts of sand and silts and clays. And then it hits the ocean. And the ocean is not flowing like a river. Water velocity drops. The river can no longer hold the sediment, deposits it out in the form of a river delta, which is always changing shape as sections get clogged up with sediment and then reform in other places. So I think it's a good place to stop, and I'll get more videos